Hi everyone. This is part 2 of our Check the Frozen Food section webinar here. And I have Brian with me again. And today we got Stouffer's Fit Kitchen. My first time looking at this. And we got some nice looking steak fajitas there. And they already told us, you know, that people know about macros now, right? And I see here we got almost 30, we got 28, 27, and 52 as our ratios, right? And where they're probably taking this from is from MyFitnessPal, which suggests around a 25, 25, 50 ratio. And for some people, that's okay. We recommend, as part of Precision Nutrition and the Zone diet, either 30% protein and 40% carbohydrates, or even 40% fat. But, you know, it's good that they list that for us. And down a little further here, let me see if I can zoom in. We got 370 calories, 3 grams of saturated fat, that's a key point. 940 grams of sodium, which we'll go into. 8 grams of sugar. You know, ideally you'd want to keep your sugar levels pretty low. 8 is still a good amount. It's probably going to come from the sauce from this. 26 grams of protein. And then some vitamin C, just because I don't know why they want to list vitamin C. It's a very, very easily obtainable vitamins in almost every food nowadays. Alright, so let's look at what we got for the ingredients here. And our macros should be here. Okay, so looking at the macros first. So it's a lot lower calories than a lot of other frozen foods at 370. And 370, if there's a few things off, we can fix it through supplementing for it. 9 grams of fat, 3 grams of saturated fat. Cholesterol is very, very low at 15 grams. The sodium is pretty high at almost 1,000 milligrams, and we'll cover why that's important. Carbohydrates at 48. We can see fiber and sugar. We recommend a ratio of at least 1 to 1, if not 2 to 1. 1 gram of fiber can offset a gram of sugar. That's what we call net carbohydrates. So this would have 3 net grams of carbohydrates according to fiber and sugar, but we need to check out what kind of carbohydrates these are, because the starch, right, is going to be 35 grams of starch, which is unidentified at this point, whether it's good or bad. And we see where the source of the protein comes from. And then, as it says, it has a lot of vitamin C. That's probably, well, I don't know where that's coming from. It's probably one of the vegetables that's in the dish. Okay, so let's go back to the ingredients here. So, seasoned cooked prime rib beef steak and modified cornstarch product, caramel color added. Okay, so it's got prime. Okay, so that's the name of the ingredient. Then they're going to give us the ingredients. So they have beef broth, modified cornstarch, salt, sodium phosphates, dextrose, caramel color, natural flavor. So the beef obviously is ribeye steak, and then they have beef broth, which is perfectly healthy. Modified cornstarch is part of your carbohydrates. Modified anything in food is not too good. Modified corn products are even worse. That's some kind of modified sugar.
Okay.
It's going to be very high in glycemic response, not something you want to eat. Sodium phosphates is a preservative. Dextrose is another type of sugar. And caramel color is obviously a coloring. Next ingredient is the rice. Brown rice is fine, although the fact that it's blanched indicates that the glycemic index is going to be higher. Red and green bell peppers. Bell peppers are great for flavoring. They don't really have much in terms of nutrition for them. Water, and then corn, black beans, roasted bell pepper puree, tomato paste, and then here they tell you it's 2% or less of the following. So there's cornstarch, sugar, cilantro, soybean oil, lime juice, sodium potassium, garlic. So this one has pretty good ingredients, except for the cornstarch on top. So let's see if we can figure out where all the carbohydrates come from. right? So looking at our list, probably the majority of it's coming from the blanched brown rice. And that's really going to be a big controller of how healthy this food is, because most of the fats here, there's 6 grams of other fats, and the other fats are going to come from corn. Those are omega-6 dominant, which is not healthy. It's polyunsaturated fat. And really this carbohydrates, whether the 35 grams of unknown carbohydrates, most of that's probably the rice. It's not bad.
Yeah.
You know, as far as frozen foods go, this one's probably pretty good. There isn't too much, you know, there's no real added fat in here.
Right.
You know, the soybean oils and stuff are pretty low. They're relying on the fat from the beef to go there. So, as a frozen food, this one's not so bad.
Okay. So what about, say, a guy like me who, you know, has a very amateur knowledge of food and nutrition, may not pick this one up because the sodium level is so high in it, and you mentioned earlier that is not always an indicator of an unhealthy food.
So the big issue with sodium comes up is what's your blood pressure.
Mm-hmm.
Eating sodium increases blood pressure. If you have heart problems or blood pressure issue, the increase in sodium can be a problem. Typically, people who eat salt consistently. So a temporary spike in blood pressure isn't a big deal, but because people tend to eat routinely, it's a constant problem.
Okay.
And if your blood pressure is constantly elevated, you get aneurysms and strokes and things like that. So getting your blood pressure checked to make sure that you don't need a lower sodium diet is a good thing to do. The salt that they put in frozen foods helps with preserving the food so it doesn't spoil while it's being frozen. And so that's why you'll find that they often do that. Plus, freezing and then microwaving food kind of destroys most of the natural taste of it. And they use salt to try to bring out some of the flavoring of it.
Okay.
But this is a good one. And it's interesting to see how much better this one was than the pizza. Because looking at it initially, it's fine. The big change is, so you have, you know, a protein with some protein. You have the beef with some protein in it, and then brown rice is going to be a better choice than rice flour.
Mm-hmm.
If you think about it, that's the big difference between the two. And then you got cheese versus beans and corn. Corn is not a great product to eat. Corn as a whole corn is better. At least it's not extracted, the syrup and things like that.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us, and make sure you check out our 3rd video in the series.